Hello, everybody, and welcome to the March phone calls for Charlie Adelson's jail phone call logs. And I wanted to share with you guys some interesting information that me and my mom have gathered. But first, I just want to tell you guys what I've been up to. I've been going to a lot of golf tournaments and just getting outside, just getting some fresh air and not getting so upset about this case. I am a little bit frustrated with the delays, but we anticipated them and we expected them. But, I kind of thought Donna might be arrested by now. It's kind of disappointing, but what can we do? Let's just jump into Charlie's phone calls for the month of March, and he has not been that lucky. Not a lot of people answering his phone calls. He's getting ghosted. I'm probably going to do a breakout video about Charlie getting ghosted by his mother, his lawyer, his baby mama, his financial phone calls. So my mom noticed a lot of things, and I'm going to read to you what she noticed and show you what I noticed and some pie charts, and let's get right to it. Hello, everybody. I want to go over Charlie's March phone calls, and I'll go over the percentages of the people that he called the most and also the people that ghosted Charlie. And I probably want to do a breakout video for the people that ghosted Charlie the most. And I find these numbers pretty significant. So let's get right to his March phone calls. I'll just go ahead and start with Donna because that is the most significant person in Charlie's life. It seemed to be a pattern, but there have been a decrease in Donna's phone calls. It's 27%. That's a decrease of 19%. And of the calls to Donna, 26% of the calls were not picked up. 74% of the time she did pick up the phone, but there was a decrease of phone calls to Donna, negative 19%. All right, then the next thing I'm going to go over is how often he called his lawyers. And that was 28%. And that was an increase of 1% from last month. And of the calls to his law offices, 40% of the law office phone calls were not picked up. And 60% were picked up. But 40% of the time, they were not picking up the phone. All right, then the burner phone, and just as a side note, the burner phone, I think, changed its phone number again. According to my mom, she noticed it has the same area code from the North Carolina region, but that's an increase of 6%. But 64% of the burner phone calls were not picked up, and 36% were picked up. So only picking up the phone about 36% of the time of the total phone calls. And we kind of allege that might be Charlie's baby mama and maybe talking to his son. Then the other category of other is 22% of the phone calls, and that's a plus 13%. And my mom noticed in this other category, she put some of his relatives, some of whom we've kind of heard their names or recognized regions of the United States, such as Texas, that some of the relatives live in, and phone calls to those regions. And we speculate that people might still pick up the phone for Charlie, but 77% of the time, these other phone calls are not picking up. They're only picking up 23% of the time. So these relatives and maybe other law offices and personal injury stuff that I'll go into later, that Charlie's still working on his financial stuff or personal injury stuff. All right, then the next category is finance, and that is 6% of the phone calls, and that's an increase of 4%. And then Harvey was 2%. That's an increase of 1% from last month. And then 6% of the time, Harvey did not pick up the phone, and 96% of the time he picked up. Then Janice was another 1%. That's a minus 1% from last month. And then 3% of the time she didn't pick up. That's a 97% rate of picking up. So that's pretty good. She's picking up most of the phone calls from Charlie, and a whopping 51% of the March phone calls were not answered. Charlie is getting straight up ghosted, and I'm going to do a breakout video of Charlie's ghosted calls because it's kind of an interesting pie chart that I made, and And even though the lawyers had more calls than Donna, 40% of the time, the lawyers did not pick up, which is pretty crazy. And to have your lawyer not pick up 40% of the time must be frustrating for Charlie. And one day he called his lawyers 8 times in a row with no success and no answers. And then Donna didn't pick up the phone 26% of the time of Charlie's calls from jail. And can you imagine if Charlie's wondering if she's been arrested? And then also another thing to note, Charlie called Donna 18 times in a row one day. I think it was on the 4th of March. And Charlie would call his mother and then his broker, and neither of them were picking up. So he must be freaking out over his finances or something. So he's having trouble reaching his broker. 95% of his financial calls to his investments and broker were not answered in a down market. He made many more financial calls this month, and he's not calling Janice as much. And 70% to the other category were not answered. And this burner phone didn't pick up. Calls to Harvey were usually long, and they were maybe talking about market despair, my mother wanted to note. And then another number was to a personal injury lawyer. They didn't pick up twice, which was interesting. And another new number was to a person accused of stalking a woman, and they did not pick up 5 times that he called. And this could have been someone that Charlie was in jail with. And, you know, when you reverse Google numbers, people do tend to leave information about those phone numbers if they are a harassing person. So Charlie made a record number of new calls, never previously called, and only 3 of the 10 new numbers picked up after repeated attempts. He made 19 calls to track a package, but nobody picked up. Previously, those calls were completed, but not this month. Something important may be lost in transit that he's ordered or something from his lawyer. So Charlie's going crazy on the phone over brokerage and financial calls. Most are ghosted because everyone is doing the same and nobody's answering him. So hardly any calls to Janice. My mom has a bunch more notes, and I guess we'll keep you guys updated as long as there is new information. So let me just go to the summary of Charlie's ghosted calls as far as who has been ghosting the most. It looks like this month the financial category has ghosted the most, and that is an increase of 30% ghosting. The other category is the second most ghosting of 25%. Lawyers are ghosting Charlie the third most at 15% rate, and that's a decrease of 16%. And then Donna is next as the person who ghosts Charlie the most at 10%, along with the burner phone, and Harvey and Janice are ghosting Charlie the least because he pretty much calls them the least. And then Charlie's calls to the financial were by far financial and other phone calls were ghosting Charlie the most, along with this Florida man who is kind of a mystery man that Charlie calls, and some of his relatives and some of his brokers and financial stuff. Nobody wants to talk to Charlie. So Charlie was pretty unlucky in the month of March. I hope you guys appreciate my pie charts, and I hope that this wasn't too confusing, the rates and percentages. I hope that it makes sense. Some of these are just rough estimates. I just wanted to give you guys an idea of how often Charlie was getting ghosted and the calls for the month of March, and more videos to come, you guys. Sorry, this is a very slow news cycle. I really have slowed down the rate of my videos, but I will get back to you guys soon. I hope you're having a wonderful spring. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope that everyone is having a wonderful spring, and I'll probably do videos more sporadically now. There's just not a ton of news, and going into the fall, let's hope for justice for Dan and the Markel family, and I hope that everyone is having a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching and liking and subscribing.